Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Guinevere Crum, Senior Vice President at the ABLE Trust. We are so excited to welcome you to our inaugural program, Grantees in the Lead. This is a grantee-led webinar series, and we are so excited to host this afternoon, actually, CIL Jacksonville to lead us through their Careers 360s program that they are doing. And a few housekeeping items before we get going with our guest speakers. Please note today's discussion is being recorded and will be posted to the ABLE Trust website next week. The views and opinions expressed here are those of the individual presenters and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the ABLE Trust or any of our partnering organizations or agencies. A little bit about us. The ABLE Trust is dedicated to creating employment opportunities for Floridians with disabilities. We were created by the Florida legislature to support the mission of the Florida Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. We have, since 1990, partnered with thousands of organizations, businesses, and individuals to create a stronger, more diverse, inclusive workforce. Empowerment, education, and employment are the root cause and outcomes of the activities, partnerships, grants, and programs we support. For all the programming and resources that the ABLE Trust offers, connect with us at abletrust.org, and you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Programs and resources like this webinar are made possible by many individuals who choose to support the ABLE Trust on any day of the year, but especially on Giving Tuesday, December 1st. And we hope that you will join us to support employment for people with disabilities on this December 1st on our website, abletrust.org. Carry today's conversation online during and after the day's webinar. Tag us on your social media platform of choice with comments and questions. Hashtags for this event are hashtag AbleTrust and hashtag TalkTime. And you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So now I'm so excited to, it's just a real pleasure to introduce the CIL in Jacksonville, and they are going to give us all a real peek at how they are accomplishing so much in Northeast Florida with their Careers 360s program. This program was selected for a strategic grant by the ABLE Trust a couple of years ago because of the extensive prep work that they had done to create structure and relationships in Jacksonville and the surrounding area. And we could see that with just a bit of investment from the ABLE Trust, that we could assist the CIL in growing these new fledged networks and relationships even further to create real meaningful outcomes for so many of the people that they work with. The ABLE Trust has been so pleased with the strides that they have made, but the grant isn't even finished yet. But we welcome this opportunity for the CIL to share their strategies, their gems, their continuing goals, with the hope that you will find some real gold nuggets yourself of information that might impact your own life, your own program, wherever it is in Florida that you live and work. So with that being said, there is a great program that the CIL has for you, and I'm not going to stand in the way of it any longer. April, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Guinevere. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen before I get started. If I can just double check, Guinevere, can you see my screen?
I can. I had already muted myself. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. All right, well, thanks. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and a huge thank you to the ABLE Trust for allowing us the opportunity to present today. I'm April Santos, Program Director for Careers 360 at CIL Jacksonville, and I'm excited to tell you about our program, introduce you to our team, and later on dive into some strategies we've used to sustain organic relationships with businesses and community partners. To start us off, we have Tyler Morris, Executive Director, and he's going to give you some background about our agency and our purpose. I believe he also has a poll he's going to start us off with.
Thank you, April. And what is a Zoom call without a quick poll? So we're going to post a poll now, and we'd appreciate your feedback. And this is going to talk about your familiarity with Centers for Independent Living. So we're going to keep this open for a little bit, and Guinevere's helping us monitor the poll. And if you could go ahead and make the selection, I would appreciate it.
We have about half the folks that have responded, so just another second or two. Last call for your response. Make your selection now. We're going to close it out. All right. Can you see the results?
We see the results. It looks like 34% of us have not heard of CILs. And I know that those other numbers might be skewed a little bit because I think we have a couple other CIL directors on today's call, but we are going to take a little bit this morning to talk a little bit about our Center for Independent Living and the network itself. So if we could go to the next slide. All right, so on the screen for an image description, you'll see a woman in a red blouse smiling at the camera. You notice that she has some hearing aids in her ear, and this person is Sherry Bell. She is a person who we've been able to help empower, who has been employed and twice promoted at Pitney Bowes. So we're very excited to share her image and her joy with everyone. So. My name's Tyler Morris. I'm the executive director of the CIL Jacksonville, and I've been here for about 14 years. I'd like to first saying thank you to Tony and Guinevere and the rest of the Able Trust team for facilitating these conversations that I think are very important for us, as well as their support for this program. I'd also like to thank my team who have worked very hard to prepare this program presentation, and also for the daily things that they're doing to make sure that employment opportunities are available for people with disabilities. I'm looking forward to the other conversations with the McDonald Training Center in Best Buddies, Florida, who are following us after this. And also I'd like to say thank you to our partners and also our interpreter today who's providing effective communication. So, and also thank you to all of you who are joining us today. A little bit about Center for Independent Living here in Jacksonville. We were chartered in 1978. We provide services to any person with a disability at any age. We are cross disability based with being any disability. We are consumer controlled. We are community-based, which is very important for our CILs all over the network to be able to flex to the individual needs in their communities. Non-residential, and of course, a private nonprofit organization. So I mentioned with that, we're run by and for people with disabilities. Every Center for Independent Living, 51% of board and staff have a disability. And that has really attributed to our success, I believe, making sure that we're connected to the community. For those that might not have heard of CILs and would like to have more information, the link, and I'll pop this in the chat a little bit later, is floridacils.org, and that lists all of our centers for independent living. Every county in the state of Florida is served by a center for independent living. So like I said, CIL Jacksonville serves Northeast Florida. So that's Baker, Clay, Duval, Nassau, and St. Johns counties. Centers for Independent Living have a rich history that came out of a grassroots movement of deinstitutionalization and ensuring that our folks had equal access to our communities, our services, and other opportunities. We believe in self-determination, self-empowerment, and equal access. So what that means is the ability for someone to take control of their own lives, make their own choices, and have equal opportunities in doing that. So that independent living philosophy is core to our mission for any Center for Independent Living, and definitely attributes to our success.
You got muted there, Tyler.
All right. As I was saying, Centers for Independent Living have a service delivery model that is goal-oriented, setting up independent living plans. So we are able to help those individuals along a path to achieve their goals for independence. The 5 core services that we have for any Center for Independent Living are listed on the right, and quickly. We have advocacy, both system and individual advocacy, making change within our communities and making change within individuals, giving them the tools to advocate for themselves. Independent living skills trainings, which are very critical for anything from budgeting to meal prep to the full list goes on. And those are provided in either a group or an individual setting. Information referral is also important for us, especially with our partner network. If we don't provide the service, we work to make sure that we know who does, so we can provide that referral to those individuals. Our peer mentoring connects people with like disabilities, lived experiences to help build their support network and also their success in achieving their independence goals. And transition and diversion is also very important. That is working with individuals who are at risk for moving into an institution, whether that be a jail, a shelter, nursing home, or ALF, making sure that we can help move away from and provide tools necessary to live independently in our communities, as well as the transition of our youth with disabilities and making sure that they're ready for post-secondary education or a career. Some of the individual programs that we have are listed on the left-hand side, and I won't go too in depth because April and her team are going to go into the Careers 360 program, but we have also some other specialized programs being community-based for the needs in our community. One is our Deaf Empowerment Program that works with individuals who are deaf, hard of hearing, to provide individualized services to them. Our Disability Victims Advocate Program works with victims of crime, whether that be theft to something more serious. We're able to provide victim services to them to help them find the justice that they're looking for. Our Ready to Achieve mentoring program connects our youth to mentoring experiences and provides a career exploration for them. Our sign language interpreting program, as you can see, one of our interpreters here today, providing effective communication to our individuals who use that for effective communication. Temporary loan closet program loans out durable medical equipment to those in need, helps get people faster out of hospitals, more independent, as well as avoids any financial barriers that they may have. And lastly, our work incentives planning program through Social Security Administration provides benefits counseling to individuals who are looking to go back to work or wanting to know how benefits may impact their ability to work. So that's a quick overview of the scope that we do and what you can expect from other CILs. So going into the Careers 360 program, I think all of us on the call know that employment is a big piece to the larger wheel of independence. A lot of things go into that as well: transportation, housing, community access, communication. There's a lot of components, but we firmly believe that employment is one of those pillars to independence, and knowing what those options are. So our Careers 360 program is holistic in the fact that it can connect to other programs for other IL services, independent living services, but we focus specifically, obviously, on job seekers and our employers. We want to work with our job seekers to make sure that they're ready for employment, that they have options to gain employment that matches their own career goals, and that they have the tools and supports necessary after that employment to be successful, and not just be successful, but be able to have future opportunities. And our team has done a wonderful job of making sure that we have been able to provide that to our job seekers and employees. And employers, we have offered a lot of support to in different ways. Strong support network and a network of businesses is really critical to us having options for that employment. And we found that there's been other things and other supports that have been really critical, and April will talk about it a little bit later, to make sure that a culture is adopted, because diversity includes disability. And we want to make sure that our businesses are prepared for and also see the same success that our employees do with employment. So some of the things that we've been able to offer is, that one-on-one questions, whether it be ADA accommodations, whether that be disability sensitivity training, how to improve access to, their employer benefits. And all of those have been very successful for us to provide this program. So with that said, enough from me. I will pass it back along to April Santos, our Director of Employment Services, for the rest of the program. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler. Sorry, my slide was moving a little slow there. So I'm going to tell you or start by telling you guys about our amazing Careers 360 team. I'm excited to kick off the rest of this presentation to tell you guys about the team, because they're really at the core what makes us so strong. So starting with Anthony Iannone, who is a full-time employment specialist, Rosa Haynes, who's our part-time readiness specialist, our employment services contractor, Jamie Rosado, and our vocational assistant contractor, Jennifer Birch. We also have a few staff who work within other departments while providing support to job seekers with disabilities. Erin Lewis is our development manager, who is also a seasoned employment specialist. Trisha Gieb and Monique Bailey-Roussel are in our Deaf Empowerment Program, which has quite a few people seeking vocational services. So each of our team members offers unique perspective and life experiences to help participants with their goals for independence and employment. Seeing the blend of ideas and strategies of the team come to fruition is already starting to be an amazing experience to be a part of, and I'm really excited to be going into year 3 of this grant with such an incredibly talented team of professionals. Like I said, we have a great program because we have a great team that embraces our mission. That's the bottom line. And embracing our mission is not just centered within this program, but throughout our entire agency, with the people we serve being at the core of everything we do. I've been at the agency almost 14 years, and there has always been an underlying need for more employment services in the community. Our agency as a whole recognized this, and we started tracking and paying closer attention to those needs and coming up with a plan as to how we could bridge some of the gaps that were happening. So we communicated these needs out to the ABLE Trust. We had a lot of people coming to us who were awaiting services with vocational rehabilitation or who needed education about VR as a resource. We wanted people to have a place to utilize while they were in the process of getting VR services. We also wanted to address the availability of employment services in the outlying counties we serve. The Jacksonville area is so large, and a little fun fact for those on the call, Jacksonville is the most populous city in Florida and the largest city by area in the United States. So there's a lot of area to cover, a lot of people to serve, and there just weren't enough employment services readily available throughout Northeast Florida to people with disabilities. We felt that CIL presence was very important in these communities. Another need that we saw was to enhance technical skills among people with disabilities. As you know, as people are getting older, they are more likely to acquire a disability. Oftentimes people are changing career paths later in life, and they don't have the skills that they need to make that change. We see it now more than ever, not just with the aging population, but with the recent uptick in use of technology due to COVID. So universally, we are really happy to be addressing this as it's continued to be a prominent need over time. We wanted to help people with the most basic of skills, such as using a computer, sending an email, or creating a Word document, to help those with more intermediate skills to become more proficient in using spreadsheets, formatting documents, and those types of professional office skills. The final need, which I touched on earlier, was the cross-program vocational needs. I had mentioned the Deaf Empowerment Program. We see that additional assistance was needed, particularly among our deaf and hard of hearing population, and individuals coming through our information and referral department as well, and our victim services program. So we had a long list of needs we wanted to address over time, and with support from the ABLE Trust, we were able to set some very ambitious but achievable goals to work toward over the 3-year grant period. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Our first goal was to provide vocational services to 200 people with disabilities. Services for employment readiness, such as job exploration and career researching, resume writing, and technical skills training. We also wanted to continue providing placement and retention services while connecting folks to vocational rehabilitation and other employment resources in the community. Our second goal was to assist 145 people with gaining employment. We plan to do this through effective networking with employers, finding job leads, job application assistance, coaching, and re-employment assistance for people who may have lost their jobs or were testing the waters in a new career. And then our third goal was to partner with 50 disability-friendly businesses, but not just through placement of people into jobs. We wanted to have businesses that over time would become invested in our mission, grow with us, and be a part of preparing, employing, and retaining people with all types of disabilities. At the root, we truly wanted to make a systemic difference in changing employer perception of hiring people with disabilities, as well as assisting with education and accessibility of these businesses. As we move into the final year of the grant, we feel we're doing very well with the goals we set, but more importantly, we're seeing some fantastic indirect outcomes in relation to the efforts we're putting toward our goals. More and more people in the Northeast Florida disability community are becoming aware of our services. The ABLE Trust no doubt has financially given us the ability to work toward the goals we set out to achieve, but they've also provided some amazing educational opportunities through their Talk Time webinar series. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank them for all they continue to do to support their grantees. So when we take a look at our goals, we are well ahead of our planned progression in the number of people we've provided vocational services to and the businesses in which we've partnered with. We have 44 partnerships thus, and over time, we are finding unique ways to evolve these relationships. Our team is going to tell you more about this later on in the presentation, and you'll also be hearing from one of our closest business partners. When we take a look at our progression toward placing individuals into successful employment, we are at about 70% of our projected year 3 first quarter goal. We, like everyone else, did have an impact due to COVID-19 and had to make some adjustments to the way we did things. But at the end of the day, we've helped almost 70 people gain employment, and that number is going to increase. We've also helped a few folks become re-employed if their first job didn't work out. And if we were to be looking at numbers only, we've helped people into 75 different positions. We take pride in the quality of service we provide and helping connect people to careers of their choice. So now I would like to give you a glimpse of some of the folks we've helped through our program. So this is Ken, and he obtained employment with Jacksonville Transportation Authority as a customer service representative. This is Sarah, and she became employed as a pharmacist at Top Care Pharmacy in Middleburg. And this is Bryce, one of our participants who recently started working at Publix as part of their front service staff, and he just absolutely loves his job. We are truly so thankful to all of our program participants for allowing us to be a part of their employment search and their outcome of independence. Each person's story is so unique, and the fields in which they are working vary from person to person. I do want to share with you some of the trends and the data side of things that we see when we're looking at what people are doing and where they're working. So this is a look at the occupational career clusters in which our folks are employed. You can see that the top areas are transportation, distribution, and logistics, hospitality and tourism, followed by business management and administration. There's also some notable occupations in human services, as well as marketing, sales, and service. Sorry, clicking the go button, it didn't want to go. All right, so I've got one more slide of data that's coming in just in a moment. For those of you who love graphs and charts, this is for you. And if you're not a data lover, just bear with me here for a few more minutes. So when we're looking at employed participants, we wanted to show you all what kind of employment status they have. So whether they're working part-time or full-time, their type of employment, so whether it was an on-the-job training experience, over 20 hours a week or under 20 hours, and finally, what are their average wages and how do their wages compare to the state of Florida's minimum wage? So the first row that's just popped up here is for those participants who were employed during year 1 of the grant. The second row is for participants that were employed during year 2. We can see that part-time and full-time employment for both years has been pretty consistent, only a slight change there. When we look at the type of employment in both years, the majority of our participants were working over 20 hours per week. We increased the number of on-the-job training opportunities in the second year by nearly 10% because we were finding they were an extremely useful tool to both the participants and in us gauging their level of comfort and abilities in entering the workforce. We started ingraining these experiences into part of our readiness services. So that's been really great. And the last bit of data I will share with you is the average wages. Our participants are earning above minimum wage consistently through both years. You can see as the minimum wage went up between 2018 and 2019, the amount they were earning above minimum wage, of course, dropped a bit, but we are really happy that we've been able to help people find jobs that are paying fairly well and working for companies in which they can grow. Some of these companies in which our people are working are listed here. The Loop, Jacksonville Transportation Authority, and Pitney Bowes are just a few that I'm going to mention who have really welcomed our participants with open arms. We are fortunate to have with us today Nathan Polite, General Manager, and Adam Scott, Operations Manager at Pitney Bowes Pre-Sorting Facility in Jacksonville. In a few moments, they are going to tell you a little bit about their history with us, involvement with our agency and the Careers 360 program. But before I bring them on, I just want to say, when I tell you that this company is a leader in inclusivity and disability culture, this comes not just from their actions and what they do, it comes from the people who work there and tell us. They tell us about their advancement over the years from being a pre-sorter to becoming a manager. They tell us that they had a sign language interpreter readily available during a one-on-one meeting with their supervisor, no questions asked. And from my own experience over the years in working with their leadership team, they are always actively looking for ways to be more inclusive, more accessible, and to reach more people with disabilities to offer opportunity. Pitney Bowes was also awarded Employer of the Year in 2018 by the Able Trust. What you're looking at now is a supportive statement provided by Debbie Pfeiffer, president of Pitney Bowes Pre-Sort Services. Their involvement with CIL Jacksonville and their commitment to a culture of inclusiveness just radiates from the top down. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to Nathan Polite and Adam Scott at Pitney Bowes, if y'all are there.
Yep, I'm here. My name is Adam Scott. I think Nathan was having some trouble getting into the panelist portion of the meeting here. I'm not sure if we found them in the attendees portion or not. It's probably that 402 number, April.
All right, we'll look for it. You go ahead, Adam.
Sure.
Hey, can you hear me?
There's Nate.
Hey.
Go ahead, Nate.
Sorry about all the technical difficulty. That's the other joys of Zoom. If you don't have a good Wi-Fi, you're in trouble. Yeah, I guess I'll give a quick history lesson. You know, April, I appreciate the kind words you said about Adam and I and the inclusion efforts that we put forth. I was reflecting about our history together and how long we've been together, and we actually celebrated our 5-year partnership, 5-year anniversary partnership this year. I don't know if you're aware of that. But, you know, I think back of how this all evolved for us. I would say it's some fortunate timing and good luck of knowing the right people and networking with the right folks. For us, it all starts with attending a fundraiser event with somebody I know, friends with, you know, my kids play baseball together. And this individual invited us to the company or fundraiser event, and, you know, sitting around looking at the room. At the time, Adam and I were we've only been in Jacksonville for 2 years at the time, and we were trying to improve our culture actually at our location. And we were kind of going through this period where, you know, we had a revolving door of staff. We were trying to weed out some of the trouble from the past and trying to just improve overall morale, you know, the inclusiveness of individuals. And being at this fundraiser, I remember sitting there looking around the room, and I'm like, you know, I see a lot of people that have potential in this room, and I had no idea if they offered any kind of employment services at the time. But I asked, the name was Matt Mako, and I sitting at the table and said, do you guys do any kind of partnership or do any onboarding with employees? And he directed me, this is how I met Tyler in April. We had our first conversation that evening. I want to say it was probably April, May of 2015. And I think by June, we had our first employee on board. At the time, the IORC, you know, they did training, and the first employee was Adam. I can't remember his last name, Adam, but he was our first one who kind of set the standard. And then it worked really well with Adam. And then next thing you know, I believe Sherry Bell was our second employee that we added. And before we knew it, not only did our culture inclusion, you know, change, we got some solid workers that were really eager and ready to work. And we found this new resource of, you know, employment pool that we didn't have before. And we learned a lot together, and we developed together. Hats off to Tyler's team and April's team, and the time they spent at our shop learning our operation, understanding our business, and ensuring it was going to work. And we, you know, I want to say for the first 3 months, we were working, you know, hand in hand to try to add these new employees. And, you know, within a year, we didn't need any on-site training or anything. In fact, our staff we brought in from the IRC were doing some of the training. And I think we ended up our peak, Adam, correct me, we got up to like 25 people at one point between all 3 shifts.
Yeah, it was close to that. Yep.
So it's been, yeah, and it's been great. We've actually had some people leave our facility and go work at other Pitney Bowes operations across the country. You know, we got 42 operating centers across the country, and this partnership, I can tell you, we're the poster site for Pitney Bowes for doing, you know, our model has always been do things the right way, the right thing the right way. And I don't know how many times we have somebody from corporate asking to meet with myself, Adam, or, you know, we get April and Tyler involved on trying to expand VR in their markets because we've been able to be so successful. And again, I don't know if that's just pure luck. I think it's more of, you know, the partnership we have with the IORC or CIL now that's made that success happen. So we've been very fortunate. I know not all VR centers across other parts of the country are as, you know, good or aggressive as far as onboarding employment as CIL. And it's also opened other avenues for us with other, when we had this working, I'd say in the last 2 years, we've added, like we have another agency, the ARC, that we partner with. We've been able to make a lot of success from different levels of disabilities work. So it's been good. I've been talking enough. I'll hand it off to Adam. He can kind of explain or talk about where we're at today with the program.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, not to repeat too much of what Nate's already said and touched on, but our success with the CIL in Jacksonville and finding employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities is, you know, in part been us trying to shift our culture, but a very large part due to Tyler, April, and their team. They've done a great job of trying to ensure that they understand our business needs and our processes in our facility, and screening individuals properly before, you know, we look at having an interview on site with them and then onboarding them eventually. The individuals we received from them have always, you know, been excellent parts of the team. They've come on and definitely participated well. And again, I think that's due to the matching process that Tyler and April and her team have done to ensure that we get the right kind of candidate. And so, you know, a lot of the success is due to their hard work they've put forth in taking the time to find the right team. You know, individuals will eventually move on to other groups or other organizations. You know, employment ebbs and flow, but you know, the CIL has continued to help us and support us. They're continuously on site for us with any type of interpreting needs, very responsive. And that's a key part to ensuring that, you know, our inclusion in the site is successful, ensuring that all of our staff, whether they're individuals with or without disabilities, are able to receive proper communication and be involved and included in everything that we do as an industry or a business, and with engagement or with processes. The CIL has always been very, very helpful. So.
Thank you both so much, Nate and Adam, for being with us. Your presence with us today just speaks volumes. I know you guys are both really busy, but again, I really appreciate you all coming on, and your commitment to our organization we just very, very thankful for you guys to be with us, and we look forward to many more years of working together, hopefully with even more locations. So thank you again. So Pitney Bowes is a great example of a business partnership that has grown in its depth and involvement with our agency. You know, we're actually working on a few things with them right now, transportation-wise, creating some different shifts, some part-time shifts to open up the doors to even more people with disabilities. So, you know, it's about finding out what their needs are, as well as, you know, helping people in the community who have disabilities finding employment. And as Nate and Adam mentioned, we've helped with finding some great candidates for their business. So where are these candidates coming from? You know, we have many candidates coming to us through our doors, online from our website, but also through our community partners. One of our strongest partnerships is with vocational rehabilitation. And with us today is Andreas Glover, Area Supervisor for Area 2, and he's going to tell you a bit about the partnership between our CIL and VR. Andreas, welcome, and thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you all. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Sorry, just wanted to make sure. You know, definitely VR is we are definitely appreciative and always willing to partner with those businesses or agencies in the community to kind of make sure that we advocate that we're there for those individuals with disabilities, to kind of make sure that we not only look for employment, help them to obtain employment, but really maintain that employment. You know, oftentimes we've seen where we're able to help folks get jobs, but you know, maintaining that job sometimes is the tricky part to it. And so we're definitely appreciative of all of the work that the CIL ILRC has kind of put into helping clients one thing that I've seen within the past 4 or 5 years of me being in my current role is the relationship between Tyler and April and their staff and the staff at CIL and Voc Rehab has just been, it's just grown, it's just blossomed, even to the point to where we've kind of streamlined the process for referrals. And so you all would just, because Jacksonville is broken up by zip codes, and so that's how we service our clients, you all would just send the referrals directly to me. And I'll get those referrals out to the right offices so that your staff don't have to worry about kind of, well, who to send it to and what side of town. No, just send them to me and I'll get them out. And so that's worked really well. But it's almost like a give and take type deal. And so you all also refer folks over to Voc Rehab. And so when I get those referrals over, I'm like, yes, you know, let's keep them going. Let's get them going, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to service those individuals that have a disability in some form or fashion, mental health, physical, whatever it is, to get back employed, you know, to help them achieve a certain level of independence, to be that place where businesses go to when they have hiring needs. And so we always want to kind of be that go-to source. So we have a lot of vendors with VR across the state of Florida, and we're appreciative for all of our vendors. But, you know, when you take a closer look at it, having really good vendors is really key. And, you know, and those individuals are going to be the ones going out, advocating for those clients, the clients that we have, and really helping them to be successful. So we're appreciative of the partnership that we have. We look forward to this partnership continuing to flourish, to be great, you know, and really looking forward to the relationship that we have with Center for Independent Living, that kind of blossoming as well, you know, just doing some really great things. And I think the best is yet to come.
Thank you so much, Andreas, and thank you for being with us today. Such kind words. We really appreciate that. We appreciate your willingness to be here on behalf of vocational rehabilitation. Again, I know that's not easy. We also have a storm that's been brewing for a couple of days. So, you know, working with VR and their amazing staff in our area, providing services that their customers need and communicating to one another, like Andreas was saying, that give and take, just communicating to one another on ways to improve the system and ways to enhance service delivery, get referrals to where they need to go. It's truly been wonderful to have this type of relationship. So thank you again.
Not a problem. Thank you.
We have found that our community partners are such a good starting point for spreading the word and creating awareness about Centers for Independent Living and our services. Our executive director, Tyler, is going to come back on. He's actively involved with other organizations at both the state and local level, and he's going to come on and talk a little bit more about that and the intersections of those partnerships that have had a positive impact on the Careers 360 program. So Tyler, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, April. And I would like to thank our community partners who have already been on the call. It really does take a lift by the community to ensure gainful employment. And you heard Nate speak earlier about one of our partners, ARC Jacksonville, who is providing employment services as well, and working with other nonprofits is really important for success, for sharing job leads, potential opportunities, and that's been very successful for us. A few of the ones that we wanted to highlight today, you see some logos on the screen for our membership association in Tallahassee, Florida Association for Centers for Independent Living, Jack's Chamber, and Jacksonville have been really key for us throughout this program. And I'm sure, like many of you, adjusting in these times where we are addressing the pandemic has been really important. And some of the ones that might not be, are not listed today, but MOUs that we've found very helpful for us. Feeding Northeast Florida has been on that list. Our United Healthcare, Flagler Hospital, our public school systems all have been really important for us. I would like to take a minute to highlight some of these partnerships and how they've strengthened our program and our employees' success. The Florida Association for Centers for Independent Living, you might know them for the James Patrick Personal Assistance Services, JPPAS, which provides monthly stipends to individuals with significant disabilities who require personal assistance services to obtain and maintain employment. And also the Youth Leadership Forum, which has been a wonderful connection to us for those students who are almost ready to find jobs and looking for future leadership opportunities. And they've been great to connect us with the participants at YLF, which VR and Able Trust are very supportive of for that program. So those have been wonderful opportunities to provide additional resources. Jack's Chamber, one of our team members, helped with forming this partnership. One of the things that we really try to encourage is participation from all of our team to be involved in committees, councils, strategic partnerships that make sure that the disability voice is heard when making decisions. And I really believe that our chamber listened to what those needs were. And one of the examples through their Transportation and Logistics Council, they were able to provide funding for bus passes for our folks, in that, first week, 2 weeks of employment. So to make sure that they had financial resources to get to and from their jobs. And that was just one of the many examples the chamber has helped us. And the city of Jacksonville has been very supportive through the Disabled Services Division. If you haven't already connected to your ADA managers in your county, I would really encourage that connection because they have a lot of resources that might not be available to nonprofits, but different municipalities have a lot of different programs that act as a referral and also support to employees with disabilities. So those are a few of our partnerships there. I'll be brief with this slide, but I did want to share that some of the things that we track, and one of the programs that we have additional to Careers 360 is our Deaf Empowerment Program. Being in Jacksonville, we have a large population of folks with who are deaf or hard of hearing, being close to the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind, FSDB. And so we provide a lot of supports in different ways. And so those folks that might come into our program through vocational services have access to others. And some of those are listed on the right-hand side of the screen. You'll see vocational services, obviously, one of the largest, personal assistance services, housing and sheltering services, also pretty high, as well as information and referral services. So I&R could be anything from SNAP to benefits to finding their local food pantry, whatever that may be. But that's a snapshot of some of the Deaf Empowerment Program that we have through a community development block grant through our city of Jacksonville.
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that. And it's pretty incredible to see how the funding from the Able Trust and the support from the Able Trust has enabled us to it's kind of stemmed out to other programs. The data that we have collected over the years, the number of people getting jobs, the number of vocational services being provided, those all go into, as many people on the call know, it goes into, when you're writing grants. So it's all just been really useful to us and to the people that we serve. So thanks again, Tyler. So some of our future goals for the program are really going to be centered around the same idea, a continuation and expansion of things that we're already doing, but taking them to the next level and learning from our peers and partners to make this the best program it can be into and beyond 2021. One of the areas that we'll be focusing on enhancing is our vocational training and employment readiness. We have a short video to show you. It's about 3.5 minutes long. And it's with one of our participants, Samuel, and his recent experience with receiving vocational training. He's in this video with our readiness specialist, Rosa Haynes. So I'm going to go on to that screen and enable my sound here so y'all can see this amazing video.
Hi, Samuel.
Hi.
All right. So thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you about your experience with pre-placement. Hi, Samuel.
Hi.
All right. So thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you about your experience with pre-placement training, employment readiness. So I have 3 questions that I wanted to ask you because you're almost finished. You're getting ready to move forward to placement and securing the job. So just want to ask you about the readiness piece and get your take on it. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, awesome. So the first question I have for you is, what was your favorite part of pre-placement training?
My pre-placement training was getting ready for interviews because you never know what type of questions they will ask. But as long as you have the training and the right person to train you for that interview coming up, you'll be ready to go. That way, 9 times out of 10, you might get the job or you might not, but you'll be ready for the next interview that you have coming.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. And you was ready. You did great. Just your poise, your overall professionalism. You're very intelligent. I knew right from the start that you were going to nail any interview that you walk into, and your confidence. So I'm glad you were able to take some pointers away from that. And I know you're going to do great on each interview you go on. So the next question that I have for you is, what are some things that you learned from pre-placement training?
I learned from pre-placement training is about adapt and flexibility, because you never know what type of schedule your boss will want you to work. He can say, hey, Sam, I need you to come in today and work a 9 to 12 schedule, or I need you to work a 1 to 4 schedule. And it's a good thing, because regardless of me, if I was to work a 9 to 12 schedule and he'll switch my schedule, it'd be good because I learned how to adapt and have flexibility with that new schedule that he gives me.
Awesome, awesome. Well spoken. And you are absolutely correct. Time and attendance is so important, and flexibility and adaptability is key to your success in employment. So good. So the last question, how will employment impact and change your life?
It impacted me well, because I know sometime down in the future when I get older that I will want to start my own business and hire people that I trust. And I wanted to take care of my family, because I know that's going to be a bigger part in my life, is making sure my family is okay and that they're good and that they have no worries. I really love working with y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I think I speak for everybody when I say this. I love working with you too. You're a shining star. You came in, you were very, very positive. You were very, very eager, and you were so coachable. And you just took everything in, and you execute each lesson. So I really enjoyed working with you. And I thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to work with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem.
This video gets me every time. Rosa is going to tell you more about the readiness side of things and some of her strategies that she has planned. Rosa?
Thank you so much, April. And hello, everybody. And I am completely confident that Samuel will get a job very soon. And I look forward to sharing his successes with everyone in the future. So pre-placement was a new and great experience for Samuel because his pre-placement was completely virtual. The key factor to our training success is utilizing interactive and engaging content, as well as creating lessons based on the individual's specific needs and comfort levels. And yes, tailoring lessons can be time consuming, but it's time well spent. The reward for myself is when your student grasps the concept and retain the information. Now, I want to take a moment just to thank the Able Trust for providing the opportunity for our organization to have an employment readiness component to Careers 360. With the support from the Able Trust and vocational rehabilitation, we've had great success in getting people fully prepared to enter the workforce. I would like to share with you now a little bit about what our readiness program will look like moving forward, as well as share some of our strategies that are going to take our program to the next level. So let's talk about how we as an organization plan to expand and strengthen the program in the areas of vocational training and community presence. Our readiness program plans to evolve to the capacity of providing both face-to-face and virtual services. Virtual readiness pretty much will become a permanent option for all people we serve. We have built a very, very strong remote curriculum and the framework to provide remote services holistically. The evolution will allow us to reach outlying counties remotely. CIL Jacksonville is in the works of creating a lending library in which participants can loan technology, including computers and tablets. This lending library will provide a resource outlet for the families who are interested in the virtual platform, but they don't have access to the technology. Also, we will definitely continue cultivating our community partnerships. That will allow for more in-person trainings for our outlying counties in the future. A key aspect I would like to share with you strategy-wise is that it's very important to be a visionary, to see a need, and also, while seeing the need, to develop a plan and deliver a solution in advance. By doing so, allows your organization the opportunity to effectively grow and evolve at a comfortable pace. And speaking of effective strategies in the areas we are focusing on, there are 3 primary components that yielded success for our program that we plan to capitalize on. The first one will be expansion of the readiness training. How will this look for us? Well, we plan to continue utilizing and enhancing our remote curriculum and the framework. The incorporation of a virtual on-demand video library, which will provide employment readiness training videos and Microsoft training videos for the people we serve. We will of course continue utilizing the virtual job shadowing platform and the Flex lessons to create modern, interactive, and attractive virtual training and curriculums. As an organization that serves others, the idea of expansion, primary focus should definitely be on the individuals and expanding to the point of meeting individual needs via multiple facets and platforms. Having multiple teaching and learning platforms yielded great success for our readiness. Now, our second component here would be strengthening relationships with partners. Building solid MOUs for on-the-job trainings and placements. We will further develop and execute solid partnerships with other community agencies to be referral sources for one another. We have established great relationships with agencies like CareerSource to help also provide employment readiness to their population. You know, often businesses and organizations become number driven, forgetting there's people behind those numbers. We are successful in developing long-lasting partnerships because we focus on genuinely connecting with the person on an individual level and building solid rapport that in return transfer into strong relationships and partnerships that are equally and mutually beneficial. Now, the third and final component I will be sharing with you is marketing and development. CIL Jacksonville, we will continue to build relationships with the outlying counties through community services, pretty much opportunities that are available to strengthen and enhance our relationship with vocational rehabilitation counselors and other organizations. We will make sure all of these organizations have our updated marketing materials and that these materials are available in a variety of formats, online, flyers, videos, just to name a few. We really, really, really want to get the message out there. We want everyone to know what we're doing and what we're planning on doing. And we as an organization maintain our level of success in marketing and development by remaining relevant and involved through community services and ongoing efforts to strengthen our partnership holistically. It is imperative that you as an organization ensure positive community involvement and marketing on services and programs. And that's pretty much it. But before I leave you, I want to leave you with this. Being in a profession of serving others, there's a quote that I honestly keep in mind, and it's by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, which is what I hope we all keep in mind as we propel into the future. All right, back to you, April.
Thank you, Rosa. That was great. And now we're going to hear from Anthony Iannone in just a moment here. Anthony, are you there? He's going to give us some insight on employer engagement and investment. He's going to touch on a few things that Rosa was talking about as well when it comes to strengthening those partnerships, but more on the engagement and investment side of things. And I believe he's going to touch on our relationship with Microsoft. Anthony.
I am in fact here, and I will do just that. What I'll do is maybe kind of give you a 30,000 foot view of our philosophy and use the example of what our relationship with Microsoft is to kind of fill in there. But if I were going to say, hey, what would my mission statement be for our partnerships? I'd say that, really we want to seek and develop relationships that facilitate our mission being accomplished more effectively. And I know that is super broad, but a couple things I'll ask you to keep in mind and consider when we talk about the overall framework of our program. One, we have a very broad view of partnerships, okay? We really have an open mind there. Two, we also have a deep understanding that these partnerships can't be one way. They have to, the partnership really has to benefit each partner in a significant and really lasting way. So that's important to us. And then another thing I would ask you to keep in mind is that we're really less focused on who the partner is per se, and and more focused on what the actual benefit of working with them is. So, we have a lot of different partnerships. Who wouldn't want to be partnered with someone like Pitney Bowes or Microsoft? But that's not to say that our partnerships with some medium-sized nonprofits haven't been as fruitful or can't be important, like with the Special Olympics. But for today, what we'll do is we'll just kind of talk about our relationship with Microsoft and how it developed. Before we entered into our partnership with Microsoft, we really wanted to make sure we had and with anyone, we want to make sure that we have a very clear need. What do we need? What are we trying to accomplish? What's our goal? And so we need to ask ourselves that question. The next thing we need to do is we also have to ask, well, when we reach out to this given entity, in this case, Microsoft, what do they have that can impact our need? And then really the third major question that we want to ask and answer is, and in this case, it's Microsoft, but with any partner, what are their needs? What are their goals? What resources can we provide to impact them? That is a very important one, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But in this particular case, I'll talk to you about what our opportunity was with Microsoft. We've talked a little bit about our pre-placement training, and there was a time that CIL Jacksonville, we really wanted to improve our pre-placement training program. We wanted to do it in a lot of different areas, but we really wanted to make it more real world. And in talking with what partnerships could potentially impact, naturally, Microsoft would be one. So we kind of identified them as someone who could help us add to our pre-placement training class some specific and realistic office environment training. So we had identified them. And then what opportunity was there for us to impact them? Well, when we engaged with them, we found out that Microsoft actually has a group that's goal is to provide, ultimately meaningful services to people with disabilities. But this group faced some challenges as it relates to accessing and kind of developing meaningful solutions to that population. So there really was an opportunity for mutual benefit, that two-way street. We could impact them and they could impact us. So in this particular case, I'll talk with you a little bit about what was brought to the table and how it was utilized. Because it's not just what do we have, it's if we have it, how do we utilize it? And so in this particular case, Microsoft was able to provide equipment, some laptops, and also trainers for specific to our on-site pre-placement training class. And it was a huge, huge benefit. There's somewhat obvious, but I'll touch on benefits in just a minute. Microsoft also, Microsoft and CIL Jacksonville, us, we collaborated to create a curriculum, a teaching method tailored to our population. Microsoft, naturally had some products and some teaching programs previously, but as much as they wanted to access our community with those things, they really were having trouble because it wasn't developed and tailored specifically to that community. And we were able to give them some input on that and develop a program. Another thing that was brought to the table was Microsoft provided equipment and software for our computer lab. So that was something that we actually did not anticipate originally, but they were able to help us there. And then finally, we were able to provide, CIL Jackson was able to benefit them by providing a significant and engaged population. So those were how we were able to identify resources and the two-way street. I'll talk to you now just about what that looks like as it relates to benefits, because at the end of the day, our number one thing is, what is the benefit? We want to provide you a benefit and we want to receive a benefit from that partnership. So here's some of the things that have happened since we started that program. The first thing and most obvious thing is that our pre-placement training program, having access to Apple laptops and Microsoft software, was a big boost to that program and the curriculum. Another thing that is an obvious benefit is that CIL Jacksonville, I'd mentioned our computer lab. Well, that had benefits outside of our pre-placement training program as well, for consumers that might not have been involved now have access to the training, but also people who were in the class could then, practice. So that was a huge benefit, and those were the benefits to us. But here are some things that you may or may not have predicted would have been a benefit, but ultimately were to Microsoft. As it happens, the person who developed the program with us, Microsoft took them, promoted them, I guess would be one way to say it, and put them in charge of Microsoft's National Disability desk. And they handle questions and issues that come up. From there, part of what she did was she incorporated that program, that curriculum, that way of doing things. So then it was spread, Microsoft adopted it. So it was a huge benefit to them because they were looking for, I guess I'll call it that last 3 feet. They had a lot of technology, but it wasn't really customized and they weren't really able to access that population. So that went well. From there, Microsoft, not suggesting that Microsoft earned the contract based on our program, but they did earn a contract to train all of the government, United States government employees with a disability. And this program has evolved into that model. So, and then Microsoft also ultimately, the third benefit to them was here locally, they were able to, through collaborating with us and developing our learning library and things like that, they were able to access the population that they had wanted to previously, that they were just having a little bit of trouble to. So those were some of the immediate benefits. Some of the longer term benefits that develop just through having that relationship and it being a two-way street is that when COVID hit, they started teaching classes for us online, which is something we had never discussed. But because we were engaged, we had the population, they had the resources, it ultimately ended up being a good fit and just the next step in our evolution. They were able to donate some licenses to us, which we're able to distribute to our consumers, which is a huge help. They may have never had that access otherwise. And so it's ultimately been a very good fit for both parties involved. So if I was just going to ask you to take three things away from this discussion about our philosophy, it would be number one, that we understand that the relationship really must provide meaningful benefits to everyone involved. If you want it to be meaningful and you want it to last, we really do have to have a two-way street. The other thing is that we have a very broad and open mind when we approach our relationships, in the sense that we're not worried about necessarily who we're partnering with, but it's what can we do for them and what can they do for us, and what will the outcome be. And then finally, let's see here. Well, we'll just go with those two. But as I mentioned, we don't focus on the partnerships. So that ultimately is the down and dirty gist of what our philosophy is as it relates to creating partnerships and how we like to see them develop.
Thanks, Anthony. I think 2 points is good, by the way. Two is good, you know?
Because I left the third one off, but I'll let you.
Well, I think it's clear that, that relationships with businesses and community partners are going to be the key to unlocking successful employment outcomes for those we serve as we move into 2021. The Able Trust has hosted some fantastic webinars that have honed in on this, as well as marketing and leveraging resources. So those are definitely going to, come into play as we're moving forward. And we truly are so excited about what's to come in this next year and beyond. Let's see. Well, this is moving towards the end here. I hope that those on the call learned something from us today. We definitely tried to gear the second portion of our presentation to those on the call, because I know y'all are tuning in and we really appreciate it. And we look forward to the future grantee webinars that are coming up soon.
Awesome. And I know we had a couple questions come in, and Tyler, did you want to go ahead and answer a couple of those while we have some time?
Sure, while we have some time, and if there's others that can jot these down, I've taken some notes for April. April, the first question was, Donna Wright most recently said, do you have small businesses who are partners, businesses with 50 plus employees, or smaller businesses, MPOs versus private?
Great question. So it's a mixture. We've got, of course, Pitney Bowes has over 100 employees at their location. Some of the businesses we work with are franchises, or they have multiple locations. So, when we look at the Loop, or we look at, their location in San Marco, we look at these businesses that might have multiple locations, and the setting itself might be smaller, but in terms of making partnerships, sometimes it's easier when it isn't such a large place, because it's easier to track down the contact. And especially if they're local, it's easier to, start up a conversation sometimes. But right now it's kind of a mixture of both. I don't know if that answers the question, but it's really all over. And that's just for our business partnerships. Our community partnerships, it's definitely, I would say, on the smaller side, to answer that.
Sure. Another question that came in is, are there employment sectors that surprised you with the willingness to partner with CIL Jacksonville on this program?
That's a great question. Not really. I think that I don't know if it's because it's 2020 and things are just moving along, but most businesses have opened their doors. We have yet to have a place tell us, oh no, we can't do that because, we work with somebody who had a disability and, we couldn't do that. It didn't work out for us. I'd say like 5 years ago, that definitely was the case, to be honest. We had people telling us that. So there isn't a particular sector that has said no. I would say right now it is, we have some caution when it comes to the healthcare industry. We want to make sure people are safe as we're forming memorandums with different hospitals and things and medical facilities, but nothing yet has surprised myself.
Thanks. Another question that came in, and I think that Anthony was able to address some of them, but in your opinion, what has been your most effective strategy for the program in recruiting employers to work with us?
Definitely forming relationships. I'm gonna, team, you guys are welcome to jump in. The way my screens are positioned, I can't see anybody. So Anthony, Rosa, I think Jennifer's on the call too, Jamie, anybody's that wants to chime in. The relationships, that's why we kind of centered the second half of our presentation on that. And I know those are formed in different ways, but if some of you saw the pictures of us with Pitney Bowes, they're not just pictures. They're, Tyler was nominated for the Community Partnership Award for a reason. Pitney Bowes nominated Tyler as an individual. It couldn't be an organizational type of nomination, but that just goes to show it's because of that relationship. And it's just that really has been the most effective. That's also how we had started up our relationship with the Loop as well, was just going in and talking to the managers there, and also being observant, taking a look around, seeing, do they have a lot of customers? What pace are their employees working at? Do they have any help wanted signs up? So just being really observant and bringing up certain topics with those potential partners, and getting to know them personally, of course, first and foremost.
Absolutely. I think that you were spot on with that answer. And, what I've seen is I think a lot of us are in that, relationship forming with employers for the long game. And some of those entry points that I've seen work well too is offering some of those things like Anthony mentioned up front in a partnership to get you to the ask of employment positions, disability sensitivity training being one of those. So great responses, and that award was only possible for the work that's been done by you, April, and the team. So it was great to walk on that Jaguar field with all of y'all. So we had two other questions from Willie Miller, and I'm not sure if they were specific to Pitney Bowes, and if they are, Willie, we can definitely get back. But those two questions were, what are some of the jobs available from entry to management? And also, do you have any persons who are blind working in your company?
So Nate and Adam had to jump off the call, but I feel like I can answer this in a way that, of course, to be continued. But the positions in which I know that our participants in this program had started in were pre-sorting positions. And as they moved up, I believe there were some operational shift type of positions that they were doing. I'm trying to remember with Sherry, because she had actually been promoted twice, and then another person, Adam, who's moved to a different state to work at their Pitney Bowes as a manager. So that particular one, I don't have the exact titles, but I can get those to you. And I do know that Pitney Bowes is looking for ways to help those with people with disabilities and vision to get employment there. We're hoping to partner with some local resources soon. It's one of their goals in terms of accessibility. They do want to have people with all disabilities working there, and they want to do that safely. So I don't know if you've ever seen their facility inside, but there's this long yellow piece of tape, and you have to stay on one side of it. And it's also pretty loud in their facility. So there's just certain things that they want to, make sure that they get correct with the safety, but they are really on it this year, and moving into 2021 is one of their goals to make their facility more accessible. So hopefully they will have some more folks working there who have some visual disabilities, but I don't think they currently do, to answer that question.
Great, thank you, April. Also important point is, with CILs being, run by and for people with disabilities, the diversity, even on our team, we represent majority of the groups of disability, low vision included. And I'd encourage you, if you are looking for practices or connections for education, to reach out to our CILs, and we're more than available to help as well. So that's all for the chat questions. Guinevere, I'm not sure if we have more time for more, but I think that got all of them.
All right, well, that was fantastic. You guys are just such a breath of fresh air, and I feel energized. Like it's Monday morning with a brand new giant cup of coffee. So thank you so much for leading us through that, and all the work that you're doing in Jacksonville. Let's see, let's switch out screens here. There we go. And all right. Well, thank you so much, April, and to Tyler, and to Rosa, and to Anthony, and your entire team there in Jacksonville. You guys are just awesome. And thank you so much for your time and leadership in developing this share with so many of our organizations across the state. The recording of today's session. So, there was so much data and information and tidbits and gems. You'll be sure to want to come back and visit that. We are going to download that video and have it up on our website next week for sure. And that is abletrust.org. You can stay in the know and follow us on all of our social media platforms. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Connect with us there. This is the first in our series of Grantees in the Lead, and the next two are coming up in December. We are so excited to have McDonald Training Center from Tampa. They will be joining us on December 3rd. And on December 17th, we will be speaking with Best Buddies Florida about their program that is statewide. So it'll be very exciting. You can register for those events now, and they are taking those registrations. So we really hope that you enjoyed today's program, and webinars like this are made possible by all the individuals who choose to support the Able Trust on any day of the year, but especially on Giving Tuesday, December 1st. So we hope that you will join us to support employment for people with disabilities by reaching out and connecting with the Able Trust and your local CIL and other organizations in your community. So help support employment options for people with disabilities. And thank you, CIL. Thank you, everybody that joined on today's call. Have a wonderful day.